Jenny Garth skyrocketed to stardom with her role as Kelly Taylor on Beverly Hills 90210. The show remains one of the most successful and iconic television series ever produced. Since then, Jenny and longtime BFF Tori Spelling partnered to create their rewatch podcast, 90210MG. Great name. Jenny joins me to share all the behind-the-scenes stories we need to know. This is Just Be with Jenny Garth.
Hey, lady.
Nice to meet you. Really meet you.
I know, I
we
can't
know
believe
each
it.
other.
It's crazy we've never actually met in the flesh, but I'm a fan and a friend of yours from afar.
It's so weird to meet people here and then have them say things to me like I'm a fan when I wasn't in any sort of public eye until my late 30s, really. And I literally remember walking into the Whiskey and seeing you guys come in when you were on Beverly Hills, and it was just, the Gen Zs and Gen Xs don't really realize how insane that was. Like, that was cult-like. I can't think about what now is as crazy as that was. What do you think is as crazy? Like Stranger Things, maybe, or like Outer Banks? Like that's how crazy it was for people listening. Like, it was Outer Banks level.
It was crazy. I think it was crazier because there was no internet. The people had to work really hard to see us and be in those rooms with us. So they were really invested. And the fans of the original 90210, they're the best fans in the world. They're still fans, and we talk to them. We know them, through the podcast. We get a lot of interaction with them, and they're like friends. It's crazy how the bonds.
It is crazy, and also because there was so much less competition then. There weren't 5,000 shows. So it was like the only game going on in town for sure. So what's jumping off the page for me is so you were a child actor.
No, I never did a commercial. I started acting when I was 16, 17. Yeah, I had 2 jobs before I landed Beverly Hills 90210, and then that was that.
So where were you living, and what made you decide that you wanted to be an actress at that age, and how did you pursue that at that age? Like, how did you go about it?
Well, I wasn't pursuing it. I didn't know I wanted to be an actress. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I still don't know what I want to be, but I really was just sort of led into this. I was dancing, and I thought I was going to be like a dance teacher for little kids. I didn't know, but then I met a man named Randy James who wanted to represent me and brought me out to Hollywood and put me in acting classes. And right away I was auditioning, and I was so lucky enough to book stuff and get that ball rolling. And then it just kept rolling and kept rolling. And then all of a sudden I was an actress.
Wow. And look, it brought you to LA, Hollywood from where?
At that time I was living in Arizona.
So wait a second. That means someone really was impressed by you to take you to another state, and no one would ever pay for something like that now. Meaning that person was like, I'm going to take care of it, and I'm bringing you to LA. I have a feeling about you, and that was like a manager or something.
Well, it was a little different. He discovered me. He was I was doing this scholarship pageant where I was dancing, and it was basically a beauty pageant, but I like to call it a scholarship pageant because it weirds me out less. But he was one of the guest judges for this thing, and he said, if you ever want to pursue it, give me a call. So my mom and I talked about it, and then we pursued it in Arizona. And then I took an acting class, and we would send my tapes to him and he would give us his notes and his thoughts. And then one day my mom and I were just planned a trip out to LA. We knocked on his door and we said, hi, you said if we ever wanted to give this a go, we should come.
Wow.
And so we did.
Wow.
The most interesting part of this story is that he discovered me when I was 16, and he is still to this day my manager.
That's beautiful.
Which is crazy.
That's a family member.
Yeah. It's definitely my best friend, my father figure, all of it.
That's unbelievable. And how proud is he? I mean, is that crazy? It's so nostalgic.
It is. I mean, we just had a meeting yesterday together. We don't get to see each other that often, but we had a meeting in person yesterday, and I just love being with him. It just feels like I've I'm with, I'm protected, and he knows me, knows everything about me.
But it feels like you both learned this industry together, because in many cases, agents and managers, they're not worth their weight because you really could do a lot of things yourself. So is it that he actually has the skill set still, or is it more loyalty? You know what I mean? And both are fine.
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
I'm a very loyal person, like loyal to a fault. And I don't think that's a negative thing. I think that kind of ties into like my Midwestern roots. I'm just a very loyal person. But more than that, he's a really good manager. He's taken care of. He's been like my colonel, like I always call him. They kind of the same, similar relationship. He's when he signed me, he was early. He had been a casting executive at ABC and was a big deal in that arena. So he knew what he's doing, and then he started his own management firm, and I was one of his first clients. So he definitely learned a lot along this journey as well. So we're more like friends, on this kind of journey together.
That's so nice, and you trust. And you just said he was like your father figure. So it was your mom and you. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have 4 half sisters and 2 half brothers.
So is that before you or after you? Or
before.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
and then my parents got married, had me. And
but functionally, were you spending a lot of time with those siblings, or function? So you feel like you're not
3 of them. No. Okay. No, definitely.
And you and Tori, you met on the show, and then you became best friends, and you really have been this close since back then?
Yes, Tori Spelling and I, we met obviously playing Kelly and Donna in 1990, and we were forced to be together very intimately for 10 years, playing best friends on camera. And it definitely sort of came across, we were young, and those were the only people we ever hung out with was our cast and our crew. So obviously we became very close, and that never ended. And, 34 years later, we've been through so much, and we've shared our lives together here and there throughout all of that. And it's just, I think, not just with Tori, but with the rest of the cast, what we experienced during those 10 years together, and that kind of bond that we made, it can never be broken. Like there's never, I would never not do something that one of them asked me to do. I'd always drop things to be there for them, and there's not a lot of people you can say that about.
Wow. And it really overall was a pleasant experience, meaning, having left a show myself that has a certain connotation, but also to the point of what you're saying, being there in the very, very beginning, there's like nothing can take away that crazy experience of being in the beginning of something that becomes part of the zeitgeist and like part of popular culture, that, the president was mentioning housewives in certain forums. Like, it was crazy. But it was reality, which is not scripted. So being on a scripted show, you have a little more of a shield of you're playing another character doesn't necessarily reflect who you are, even though I'm sure a lot of you bled in and out. So I ask, like, was it all always positive and positive connotation? Like, did you ever want to disassociate from that? Meaning, for years Jim Carrey was comedy and wanted to not be the comedy guy, wanted to try at being the drama guy, and sometimes people feel like they're locked into you're pigeonholed or put in a certain box. But it seems, by reading about you, by your podcast, by your business, that you either have always, or you are certainly now really leaning into what made you successful and just saying, okay, that's where the fish are. That's what it is. That's what my fan base wants. That's who I really am. So was it always like that, or you had to like come back to it? Did you want to like break out and be Beyonce and not be with Destiny's Child anymore?
Well, when the show finished 10 years later, there was definitely that moment of like, whoa, where am I? What is happening? What do I do? Where do I go from here? And I had done drama for so many years, so much drama, because my character in particular was like the most dramatic character on the show. I think there's nothing that Kelly Taylor didn't endure. which I love doing. And then at that point, though, I was like, I want to do comedy. I want to feel what it feels like to make people laugh. And I want to have joy in my workplace, in my day. And so then I went and did a show called What I Like About You, was on the WB at the time with Amanda Bynes. And that was so much fun. We did that for 4 years. But I've never been the kind of person, like I said before, I'm really loyal. I've never been a person that I'll ever turn my back on something, especially something that had such a profound effect on my life as it is today. Like my gratitude for just that fact that it made me who I am. And I've taken, I've taken all the good parts of it and left all the bad parts and move forward with that. So it's like something that it's in the fibers of who I am, and I'm so appreciative of it that of course I'm going to lean into. I've always leaned into that before leaning into something was even a thing. Like it's just who I am.
Yeah, I ask because I guess maybe during those 10 years, like when I left my show, I had to give reasons why I left. I mean, your show, and but I had to give reasons why, and it was perceived and actually a little true that like it was a little toxic, and I left for a reason. But in doing Rewives, my other podcast, it's sort of leaning back into it, saying I can come at this from a different perspective, and it's my experience, and it's my breaking it down and on my terms. And that's why I'm asking you that, because you and Tori know where you came from, and you're also not being stupid to go start talking about something new that people don't actually want to hear about as much as they want to hear about something that was iconic. So it feels like you maybe always have leaned into it, but now you really, as a mom and a woman, and you've gone through health issues, like you're coming at it from a very different perspective.
Yes, definitely. I think that, when I do have other projects to talk about or whatever, of course I'm going to talk about that. But it's like again, it's part of my genealogy at this point.
Exactly.
And I'll take it with me wherever I go. And I'm proud of it. I'm not embarrassed by it. But like you said, I didn't choose to leave the show. I was there all 10 years because I really loved the whole thing.
Yeah, you had an experience.
Yeah, and it was like my little protective cocoon that whole life. And other people in the cast, though, did make, a couple of leaps and go and do other things because maybe they felt it wasn't the right environment for them anymore, like you. And, but then you're going to face a whole different set of obstacles, I think.
Oh, you did the whole ride, for better or for worse. That's interesting. Yeah, there was a ride, and I'm sure there were things that weren't positive, but all in, you're very blessed to have had the opportunity. And it sounds like as a person, you seem organized and structured and intentional, but it sounds like you go with the flow. Like you go where the fish are. You're like, oh, I like that, I'll do that. I like this, I'll do that. Like it sounds like you are strategic, but not overtly. Like you kind of are open to different experiences that present themselves.
It's so interesting that you pick up on that because I'm not a planner. I have always, from day one, just gone with the energy, go with the flow. Like you said, go with the fishes or whatever. But I've never had a plan. And often in my life, I felt like, what's wrong with me? Why don't I have a plan? Why don't I have goals and know what I want to do by this age, like other people, and, have it all laid out for me? But I've never been that way. And I can't worry about things because it'll all just always come. And the minute I start gripping onto worry about whether it's finances or my next job or my health or my kids' health, whatever it is, that's when things fall apart. You
don't white knuckle it, you don't strangle it, you don't you let it breathe. It's funny though, because most people would think that I am like that. I'm oddly like you too. I've never had a big plan. Doesn't mean that I didn't want to do something. I want to do that. Oh yeah, I want to get on that thing, whatever that is, The Apprentice. Right. I want to get on that weird show, not the celebrity one, the normal person one. And I want to do that thing. And if I don't get on that thing, okay, this is the next thing. I want to do healthy cookies. I want to have, and then that fails or succeeds. But overall, I'm the same as you, and I just do what I want to do, which is surprising. Yesterday I got offered this TV show that's good money, and it's great. I'm so literal. I'm like, okay, it means going to LA twice. What is that exactly worth? And I thought about my financial, spiritual, emotional, what is it monetarily worth? What is it, health-wise worth? And I only do it if I want to. I'm like you. I'm not like strangling onto. I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a mogul. I have like no real major goals, which is interesting to people.
Right?
Yeah, like I don't really have big goals. I just do. I go where it's going, and I ride the waves.
Yeah, I think that there's something to it. It's working for us.
Yeah, it's working for us. And you could be a billionaire by now if you strangled something else, but you wouldn't be you, and you might probably wouldn't be happy. Like, in other words, I wouldn't be happy if I took every goddamn thing I was offered. I don't want to do it. I
Right,
like to be in
exactly.
pajamas and sitting
I
on
mean,
my
that kind
ass.
of goes back like to what you were saying about my manager from so long ago. My career would be in a different place. I have no idea where that would be. Better, worse, who knows?
This is the
But I
road you
wouldn't
took.
be happy because I wouldn't have him by my side, you know?
Yeah, I really do get that. I really, 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 really get that. This is the road you chose. Funny.
Hmm.
All right, so BFF, that's cute and simple, and interesting
Everybody
that you
has
got.
one.
Everybody has one, but it's interesting that you got the name
I know.
BFF. When? How long? That must have been a while ago.
No, it all came together in the last few years that we started the BFF collection for, QVC. They came to us and said they were interested in doing something with us. And that just opened up our minds for a creative imagination and what we wanted to do. And we decided to start out in the home space. I've
Do you
always
go
been,
there Do you go there
we
to
did,
sell?
we did, for our launch in January, we went to QVC in Pennsylvania and
Westchester.
we had a really great experience. It's intense, but it's good. And we have another drop coming in July, so we'll be back on air for that, which is something to look forward to.
So BFF, this is your collection that's home and food and kitchen and you guys together. How did this even come to pass? You met with QVC and they just said they wanted to do an in-house brand with you?
Yes, that's
Great.
basically how it happened. It was brought to us through an agent and they made the connection and then we had the call and it would just seem like the right fit. And we were excited because they were taking care of all the manufacturing and all the costs and everything up front. All we had to do was create our business, all of the things that went with that, which was a lot. And being new, I had never done this before. So I've learned so much along the way and I keep learning, it's definitely a learning process.
This is your first business venture since being on television. Like you've never monetized it in a business way, in a brand
No.
way.
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
Hmm.
That's interesting and smart and great categories and great for the two of you. And like I said, leaning into the branding
Hmm.
and you're equal partners. You're in business together now.
Yeah, we are at 50/50. And it's great to have somebody that you're in business with like that you've known for so long and in and out and you trust. We really
Yeah.
trust each other, in our relationship, and we both have our own separate lives and certainly our own separate personalities. We're very different people, but we're very similar in a lot of ways too.
And a thought partner. So I said a
Hmm.
thought partner.
Absolutely.
So you're married.
I'm married, yes.
And
Hmm.
how long have you been married?
We got married in 15, I think. So
Okay. So a minute.
7 years, 7, 8 years, something like that. We took a year off
Okay.
to collect ourselves because it was whirlwind. We met and got engaged in 3 months and then got married in 6 months. And that was crazy and a little ambitious. So we both needed a minute to like digest that and took a break and kind of thought that was the end of it. We thought we were going to get a divorce because it was just challenging and neither of us were really prepared for those challenges. He's 9 years younger than me,
Okay.
which
I,
is significant and in a different place in his life, career wise and just independence wise it was very different.
Still now, or you're saying back then? Now it's come together.
Back then it's come together now because, we've kind of convene, what's the word when you congene something together,
Merged.
merged,
Yeah.
we've merged.
So
But in the beginning, it was tricky.
and in the beginning, because it was just passion and love, but like then you
Mhm.
got into the brass tacks of life, like kids and blending and exes
Yeah.
and things like
Well, I
that.
had 3 young girls too.
Right.
And I wanted a stable environment for them. And I wanted to be able to provide that. And, Dave, my husband, just brought a really fun, um, like light energy into our home, which was really needed after a pretty dark period of time for myself, which for the girls too. And just that, he came in and brightened things up and
No,
everybody
nice.
just fell in love with him. And then when we split up, that energy kind of went away and I had to sort of figure out the family unit again on my own. And just when I had it figured out again, we decided to get back together.
And the kids always loved him.
Yeah. I mean, it took them a minute because, they
Yes.
didn't want mom to be with anyone but their dad for a long time. But now they love him and they love what he brings to the table of our family.
And with world divorce challenges on the spectrum, do you have a decent divorce? Like a decent garden variety divorce?
Yeah, I would say all in all, definitely. I'm, super happy that he's still in the girls' lives and he's a good dad and he means a lot to the girls. And we've both been just extremely like it's about the girls, which is not about
You're
me.
always on
It's not
that
about him.
page.
Yeah.
So you've that's actually pretty stellar. That's like a pretty happily ever divorce, to be honest.
I
with
mean,
you.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't roses for sure,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning, because I didn't want it. And being such a loyal person, I was not interested in ending the family, the family
Yeah.
unit. So it took a while for me, but now we're almost done. Our youngest is 16, so we only really have 2 more years of co-parenting.
Right.
And we're both kind of like, woohoo, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Co-parenting is definitely a struggle and decisions and opinions on what,
Mhm.
it's funny because people think when the kids are younger that it's about time. Like, oh my God, I can't believe giving up some time and I can't believe I'm not going to be with my kid all the time.
Mm.
And the truth is not until they become tweens do you realize it's not really about time. It's about decisions over health matters and over sports and over
And consistency. Like that's
Yeah.
hard for me was like I'm their mom all the time.
Right.
And when they would go to his house, I would have to step back and not have such an opinion or such like involvement in their day-to-day stuff. Or their more for me their emotional well-being because I'm really into like that side of
Right.
being a parent and he's a little bit more on the functional side.
Yes.
So that was really challenging for me. And I mean, but whenever they go to their dad's house, I'm literally on the phone or on the text or constantly in contact with them. So
Right.
it's like I'm not there, but it was very hard to adjust to not feeling like I was being a consistent parent because I had no choice. Like that was the hardest part.
And then things and you see differences when your kids come back. It's like it's almost like lack of a better word, like retraining. Like even like there'll be tonal differences from someone's house to the next, or someone comes back a little extra sassy, and you're just like, okay, well that's not going to work here. Whatever the matter is, there's always a little different.
I have a feeling they're a little sassier when they go back to his house because in my house it's all about like let it fly, like feel your feelings, and we have a lot of fun with each other's feelings. So
that's funny. And what about your health and arthritis? And it's funny because we're more vulnerable as we get older, and words I was reading about your struggle, and words like osteopathic arthritis make you feel like you're older. They make you think about being there for your kids, and like they make you just feel differently. Like I have an autoimmune issue, and it just, when you're not at your best, you just feel that the machine can break down, and it makes you feel vulnerable emotionally and physically. So I wonder about that part of your life.
Yeah, life becomes so much more valuable when you look at it from that perspective. I mean, from an early age, though, my dad suffered his first heart attack when he was 37.
Oh my God.
So since I've been in my 30s, I've been uber just like responsible about my own health, being my own health advocate, and then started with my heart health. And I still am a big, I work a lot with the American Heart Association, and I do a lot of talking about heart health and especially its effect on women. So that's been really important to me now. And as I gotten older, brain health, mental health has also been something that I've struggled with my entire life. And now that it's such a big conversation, I'm so happy about that. And I'm able to talk about it more freely and reach more people. And now with arthritis, like having, osteoarthritis runs in my family. I actually already have a fake hip. I had my hip replaced,
Wow.
which is significant because
No,
I'm
my
young.
God.
Yeah, and I did that
Wow.
like in 2020, so it's a few years ago.
Right.
But just being able to talk about stuff like that and sort of like get rid of the stigma of like we're all gonna age, our bodies are
Exactly.
gonna start to break down. We got to go through this together and talk about it. It's not
Ex-
embarrassing. It is what it is.
exactly. Exactly. And what would you say the top three things that are in your everyday life for heart health do you sort of abide by? Like, and then brain health, like what are tools,
Mm-hmm.
tips, or things that you could say to somebody else?
For heart health, okay, number one is, well, obviously no smoking, drinking. I don't smoke or drink.
Right.
Uh, no dairy. People don't really
Interesting.
talk about that very often, but I really believe that dairy causes inflammation in our bodies. I feel it definitely when I eat dairy or when I have eaten dairy. I've never given my kids dairy. Like, I just don't think it's good for you.
Okay.
And it kind of grosses me out. Um, Activity, obviously, staying active. Exercising, even if it's just walking. Like, my mom is 80 and every day I'm calling her and saying, did you go for your walk today? It's a
Mm-hmm.
good day. You can go out and put on your raincoat. You can still walk when it's raining. Um, and knowing, I think, especially knowing your genetic predisposition to
Ah.
heart disease,
Mm-hmm.
is really important. And keeping your BMI, your body muscle ratio, your fat ratio to your muscle ratio, keeping that in a normal, healthy range. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's good to work with a doctor to know what your BMI should be and just to keep it all in check, because as we get older and we let anything go, it's so much harder to get back on the rails once you deviate, once you start gaining too much weight or becoming inactive, it's really hard to get back. So
Yeah.
just don't let it get to that point.
Yeah.
Think ahead.
Beyond the case.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Beyond the case. Got it. And what about for mental health?
Mental health. Oh my gosh. I'm a believer in therapy. There have been times when I've been in intensive therapy. There have been times when I'm like right now, I'm not really in a weekly therapy kind of situation. It's like an as needed thing. I think
Right.
therapy is great. And if you can get therapy from talking to your friends, that's pretty good too. I take a lot of brain supplements because I work with a doctor. His name's Dr. Amen, Dr. Daniel Amen, and he is uh, a leading brain doctor out there, and he's really educated me of the fact that much like the heart, which can regenerate and kind of heal itself if you take care of it, which is amazing to think. If you've done damage to your heart by smoking or
Yeah.
drinking, you can fix it by living a healthier lifestyle. Same with the brain. And the brain and the heart are the most vital things in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So taking care of them is just a no brainer.
It's a yes brainer.
It's a yes
It's a
brainer.
yes brainer.
Yeah, so I take a
Um,
lot of supplements, and I just, I study Buddhism. I'm never been a religious person of any kind, but Buddhism relates the most with me, sort of resonates the most with me, their messages. I do that weekly. I take a Dharma class with my 16-year-old daughter.
oh, that's
And
nice.
yeah, I've been going to it for a long time, and I started taking her, I think it's made an incredible difference in her ability to control her mind, which is a really big challenge for people that have a lot of chatter going on up there. I mean, some of us more than others, but
Mm.
everybody's got that like constant like noise that we're
Yeah.
dealing with,
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's
Um,
helped her a lot.
do they watch your episodes? Do they care, or is that like a total different life and it's like peripheral for them?
They watch it. They watch it back with me for my podcast every week. I have to watch it back.
Oh,
They've
they
been
do?
doing it with me, but they've all seen it. They've all seen all of what I like about you. They've watched everything my girls are so supportive and like, they're my biggest fans and
Aw.
they will tell you that too. And it's mutual, obviously, but
Yeah.
I just know that they love it and they are not embarrassed by me most of the time. So that's good.
And so you have three daughters, but your husband didn't have kids and you didn't have another child. This is this is your family.
This is it. All the same father. Yeah.
Got it. Amazing. Well, it was so amazing to meet you and really get to talk to you and learn about you. And I've admired you from afar, and now I admire you from close. So I really appreciate you taking the time too.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to finally get to chat.
Me too. And Tori did my other show, Rewives, she was amazing. It was really, really fun and ridiculous. I don't know if you've ever watched, but if you ever want to come on, it's very, very silly, stupid, but there's actually a lot of takeaway to it. So if you ever want to do it, it's fun.
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
She was so nice. How nice is she? She deserves everything. She's beautiful and sweet and like, what a cute blondie and so honest and calm. And I really liked her. She was amazing.